Hello, everybody, and welcome to the new live episode of Fullfunnel B2B Marketing Podcast. So today we are sitting with my co-founder Vladimir and Peep Laja, founder of CXL and Winter, and we are going to talk about differentiations, how to stand out with your product. And the reason I want to talk about this is I'm seeing quite often that, especially in a B2B space, what the majority of companies are doing is that they're copying others. They tend to think, I know lots of companies have this mindset, the grass is greener on the neighborhood side, so they try to copy the message. They try to do the same campaigns, do the same marketing as their competitors. But here is the biggest problem. The more you copy others, the more commoditized your product becomes. And you'll be always dealing with a question, why should I buy from you? So today we are going to nail the differentiation in B2B, and I believe Peep is the best thought leader who can share his experience. Peep, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man.
So happy to have you here. So let's jump in. I wanted to ask you about differentiation and the other side of it, the sameness, let's say. So did you ever feel, running your companies like CXL or Spiro, that you at certain point started to kind of slide into the sea of sameness? What I'm trying to get at as well is, how do you know that this is happening?
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. So Spiro, my agencies are notoriously hard to differentiate. If you do SEO and I do SEO, well, what's the fucking difference, right? So in the agency market, really, the way to differentiate is by who is doing SEO, right? Like the real differentiation is only like who's doing it. So when I was running my agency, it was a clear problem. Like we realized that on paper we looked like any other conversion optimization agent. So it was a big problem. And so the differentiation strategy that we picked back then was to make us a clear knowledge leader. So we were building our custom frameworks for Research Excel framework, PXL prioritization framework. And I was, of course, putting myself everywhere to be the clear thought leader in the space. And it worked. Same with CXL. So when I started it wasn't as bad back then, but I mean, e-learning is heavily commoditized. It's like anybody can create content. Anybody has access to good quality cameras. Hey, it's in our pockets, right? So I can film a course that looks pretty good in the next hour, right? Anybody can do that. So the barrier of entry is gone. And so, of course, and then there's like companies like Udemy that have also done their huge part in commoditizing e-learning, which is like everything is $12 and mediocre, right? And yeah, I mean, being different is very, very hard with CXL. And so I realized that years ago that if you have an hour, I can tell you all about how we are different, but if you just come to our website and quickly figure it out, it's hard. So it's a lot of nuance. And so really it's a brand differentiation in the end, because like if the product is a bunch of videos, if you put it that way. Exactly. So that is a commodity. And so let's take another example from e-learning. A Cloud Guru. They were recently acquired by Pluralsight. I think $2 billion was the purchase price. Now, everybody in A Cloud Guru was in agreement, from CEO to the janitor. We are a commodity business. Because A Cloud Guru was video courses for developers, They were fully understanding that they're a commodity business. Anybody can teach JavaScript, right? And they do. There's 100,000 courses out there. And so they were clear about that the way we differentiate is through marketing. And they did, and they won.
And I was just wondering, like, for our listeners, you're running a company. And so what are some of the signs that you may be having a product that is standing out, or vice versa, that you may be like a commodity? Like, what would you say
it's you know, like if you're different, you know this. And if you're not there, like there's no magic, right? It's like if you're a SaaS company, open up your G2 category or Capterra and just look at it. And what are all the top 20 tools saying about themselves, and what are their capabilities? If we open up the most saturated categories like CRM or email marketing automation, and you open up the top 20 tools in those categories, every tool has every feature. There's zero differentiation in terms of what they do, and they also all say the same thing. Especially email marketing, they mostly say send beautiful email newsletters.
Yes.
I was like, any damn email marketing tool does that, right? Like, why are you saying that? Like, how stupid are you? It's really like beyond me.
Yeah, set up a beautiful automation. That's literally the same.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you can walk us through the process of figuring out the differentiation for winter. So basically, how your process look like? Because again, quite often companies are willing to hire a research agency that theoretically can do this research, can host a panel, let's say panel with potential customers or target markets. So what's your differentiation process for winter?
Well, I'm currently using the most obvious and most effective one. We are actually the only one doing what we're doing. So if you can actually be unique, there you have it. There's no alternative to winter today. They will come. They will come. So product-based, feature-based differentiation is how every big company got started. If you think about it, all category leaders were not the first to market, because like market is evolving. Many players see it at the same time, so all the pieces up in the air. Like, and then who executes the fastest, the best, will become that category leader. You know, so when MailChimp started 2006-ish, it's not like it was the first or the only email marketing tool, right? Like, I think GetResponse was there, Aweber, Constant Contact. They were all around already. But everything, the market was very fragmented. Nobody was a clear dominant leader, and they just executed better. And so if you can do something innovative, that's your immediate differentiation. Now, if you don't have that, you're also building an email marketing tool, in which case, I mean, I urge you to reconsider. But if you still want to do it, the way to think about it is then, if your product is mostly the same, you know, maybe you have a feature that MailChimp doesn't have, but even if you add 5 features that MailChimp doesn't have, you won't win. You know, it's impossible. But what you can do is you can deliberately go for a different slice of the market. So what is a market that MailChimp and other category leaders is not serving too well? So you differentiate. The next easiest way to differentiate is that you pick a target customer that others are not picking. You serve one slice of the market real well. So like that's what ConvertKit did, going after the creators. You know, if you look at it on paper, it's not much different from any other email marketing tool. In fact, it's objectively worse than most of them in terms of the feature sets and capabilities. However, they're winning. And my definition of winning is like still getting a nice outcome. So of course, compared to MailChimp, they're like tiny pebble in the sand, but like 28 million ARR, for most people, that will be a pretty decent outcome. So you go for a different market, and then you can actually be objectively better for that one segment by building features and capabilities and whatever for that particular segment that is currently being maybe underserved. So that's the second easiest way.
It's a bit during the summit you mentioned. Now you talked about going after a specific niche or like a sub-segment.
Yeah.
And you gave during the summit, you gave a bunch of other differentiation strategies. So can you maybe think of other strategies that a B2B company, you know, in a competitive market could apply other than going down to a niche or maybe being really unique?
Well, sure. I mean, there are other strategies that that you could pursue. Like, I would strongly urge you to differentiate by going after a certain type of buyer. I think it is the most effective one. Like gorgeous help desk, right, for e-commerce. Enter the market where Zendesk and all these big, help desk platforms were around already, but became very big by focusing on e-commerce that was underserved. Or that's how Klaviyo became a $4 billion company in a very saturated space already. So I would strongly urge you to still go for that. But on top of that, you can have a lot of other amplifiers. So for instance, let's take brand. So a brand is an affiliation. It's like yes, it's a reputation thing, but it's also, what does it say about me when I buy you? And I guess in software, it's this type of signaling is more subtle compared to like me wearing clothing, where people see that I have a Gucci bag. I'm signaling that I'm wealthy and I have status, things like that. With software, well, if you use Salesforce, I guess you might be signaling something, right, in terms of brand that I'm buying safety, right? I'm not going to get fired. This is going to work because everybody's using Salesforce, right? So there is that safety in buying the brand. So so thinking about those, like what are you signaling, or what is being signaled when somebody buys you? So that is something to think about there. I mean, there are also other amplifiers, like famous founder, real good stuff. So many examples of. Do you want me to go and repeat what I said? Do we or in that talk, or?
No, I was really thinking about things that are, where you would start. Imagine you're just coming in as a CMO of a, B2B company, and what are some of the things that you would be looking at? Some of the first thing to think about if you're just starting with that. If you're in a situation where you realize you need to change, what are some of the things you should be looking at? That was
so
what I was
really, like,
at.
I would start with the fundamental strategy questions of where to play and how to win.
Yeah.
So you choose where to play first. So you want to overlap with the category leaders, the top companies, as little as possible. Some overlap is okay, but in terms of who you're going for. So this is positioning. Positioning really answers the question, who are you for, and what is the use case that you're satisfying for that buyer? So it's a slice of market that cares a lot about something. So you don't want to overlap with the category leaders because they have more resources, more money, more developers, more everything, right? And so if you're going to compete directly with them, you're going to lose. Like, odds are good that you're going to lose. And so instead, you wanna pick a slice of the market that you're not going head on with their best customers. So you wanna attack from below. If you're an upstart, you're not a category leader. You wanna attack the category giants from below. So meaning you go for the least profitable customers that they don't mind losing. They won't fight you on it. So. That is how Toyota back in the day entered the US market, by making cheap compact cars. And American car makers were making these big, massive, cars. And this, okay, the subcompact cars, who cares? It turns out a lot of people cared about that. And so the later Kia and Hyundai attacked Toyota from the same angle. They went for the least profitable segment, which is the subcompact cars. And Toyota was like, yeah, who cares? But now Kia and Hyundai are big. And once you dominate that small segment of the market where you start, you gain a toehold there. You have money, you have profit. Now you can expand out, because now Toyota is like everything. They make big cars too, right? Same with Hyundai and Kia. In fact, like the best-selling SUV in the United States, I think, is Kia Tele right now. So yeah, that's how you start.
I would love to ask you a practical question, as we all talk about the importance of customer interviews. So basically, to nail your message and to find ideas for differentiation, you must talk to your customers. But I want to ask you two practical questions. The first one is, how would you motivate target audience to help you with research and message validation?
Yeah, so first of all, customers will never tell you how to be different. That's not what you use customer research for. It's impossible. Stop. You don't, you need to come up with it yourself. And the only way to, what you use customer research for is exactly what you said, to validate whether our positioning is clear, whether they get it, and whether our points of differentiation, so like the benefit statements that are maybe different from other players, are those things that our chosen target user actually cares about. And that you can easily validate. The traditional way to validate these things is just, you implement, you put it on your website, you put it in your ads, you put it in your all the things, and then you go to market. And then you see what happens, right? Does it work? How are we going to make money? And yes, you do need to do that stuff, but the feedback loop on that is extremely slow, and it costs a fuck ton of money. So before you learn that, maybe it's not quite there, maybe they don't actually want any of these things that we lead with, you've already wasted 6 months and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So that's the old school way to do it. Today, you got to be way smarter, because as a small company, and by small I mean if you're taking on industry giants, right, or you're trying to carve out your own space, then speeding up feedback loops is not all you got, but it's a key thing, how you can be much faster and better than these bigger players. And so how you validate it is, you choose your target audience. Like that's the most important thing. You choose who are you selling to, and you need to make sure that that market is also big enough to sustain your growth. Like you can't go for a too small niche, because like there's not enough money in there. So once you've picked your target customer, who you think you're for, or maybe you have 3 hypotheses: this ICP, that ICP, and the other one. And all B2B ICPs are typically titled at a type of company, like CMO at an e-commerce company, or a director of HR at a SaaS company doing 10 million, whatever. And so now you need to validate your positioning, messaging, points of differentiation, all those things with that group of people. So you need to go out to the market and you find those people, and you do customer research in a way that, hey, here, like, how much do you care about these things? Like, so we can do this for you. Do you care about it? How, on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, whatever, how much do you care about it? Why not? Or how badly are you interested in learning more about this stuff? Or how interested are you in getting a demo with us now after you read this stuff? And if it's like, meh, then you haven't nailed it, right? And you can do that in a day. I mean, if you use Winter, you can do it in 12 hours and boom, as opposed to taking 6 months. But like, you don't need to use any tool for this as well if you put a lot of muscle in it. Meaning, like, you go to LinkedIn, you find your target people, you incentivize them to talk to you, and you need very strong, very good research questions. Like, what is it that you want to know? So it's essentially, it's a form of qualitative research, and then you validate quantitatively in the market, but you can change your hypotheses of go-to-market hypotheses. You can pre-validate it with qualitative.
And that was my second question, actually. What questions to ask? Because that's the most important part, aside from selecting the audience. What questions you should be asking to get this insight?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a classic marketer's mistake. Is like, by asking what should we ask, you're asking the wrong question already. So this is like, an average marketer goes into Google Analytics. Oh, let's see what the data says. I mean, data doesn't say shit. Data is passive. It's just there, right? You need to, all the data in Google Analytics, for instance, has to be there to answer business questions. So all the events that you're tracking, all the goal tracking you've set up, they're only there to answer business questions. So before you even log into any analytics tool or do any research, you need to have questions. What is it that you're wondering about? So you start there. You make a list of questions. I wonder, what is it that I'm wondering? And the question might be, are we clearly different and or better than competitor X, for instance? So like, let's say if we are CRM and we want to get, we're against HubSpot, so we want people to choose us over HubSpot, a certain slice of the market. And so if they read our pitch, can they tell right away how we are better or different than HubSpot? That might be a question. Are we clearly differentiated? And if they don't get it right away, obviously you have a problem. Or if you have certain benefit statements, so you've developed your messaging house. Like we say this about ourselves, we say this and this and this. Now we test this position. It's these benefit statements. And then we can ask, well, how much do you care about this? Oh, we can do two-way sync between you and, I don't know, some email marketing tool. Like, is that an attractive thing to lead with? I think, it could be table stakes. It's like, of course, I assume you do this, but it's not the reason I'm going to sign up with you because everybody does. And so, so you start with business question. What is it that you're wondering about? And then the question becomes easy. If you want to know how you're different, or if you want to know if they care about it, well, then that's really the question. How much do you care about it? Why or why not? Although in qualitative research, there is this trick where you should try to avoid why questions, because why triggers post-decision rationalization, aka bullshit. So instead, you should ask, like, what made you? Things like that. Also, don't ask, would you buy this? Because if it's research, it's not an actual purchasing moment. They're not actually risking their own money. So, and people are terrible at predicting their actual future behavior. So really is, when I think about purchase is an outcome. It's a lagging indicator. So if you optimize your business based on purchasing, like what sells, it's like running your business by looking in the rear view mirror what has happened, because you can't influence. So somebody signing up for a shit is an outcome, but like what leads to the outcome, that's what you want to optimize and focus your energy towards. What you want to focus your research. If certain things are interesting for them, they're going to sign up. So it's cause and effect. Stop focusing on the purchasing and focus on other things. And what those other things are. So obviously, certain heuristics. Do they get it? Is your offer and positioning clear? And in B2B SaaS, you guys know this, using bullshit jargon, vague statements, we're elevating the world through integrations, like.
And innovation.
Yeah, like what the hell is that? Like, I have no idea what you guys do. Like, so you check for clarity. Most important thing. If clarity is not there, nothing else matters. Second is relevance. Is what you're offering to that carefully chosen ICP, does it align with their current priorities and challenges at work? And if not, there's no way they're going to pay you. Third is like value. Like after reading your value proposition. A value proposition is basically a promise of a value to be delivered. If they want that value, more leads save time, although it's so generic that will not raise an eyebrow, but basically, if they want that value, they're more likely to sign up. If they don't care about that end value that you promise, they're not going to buy. And then, like, is it clearly differentiated? So why you instead of HubSpot or whoever? And there might be other things as well there, like if brand is important to you, like, do we come across the way we want to come across? So if we're like a security SaaS company, we want to come across as innovative and confident and this and that. Like, do we? or is it more like it's like somebody who's like trying too hard, you know? Maybe you come across as sketchy or things like that.
Love it. Actually, when you were talking about the question about would you buy it, I just remembered a very good example from Sergio Zaiman, who was leading Coca-Cola's team in 80s. And it's not a B2B example, obviously, but anyhow, he said executive team required him to run a huge test. And basically they wanted to launch a new Coke. I forgot what it was, probably Coke Zero or whatever, doesn't matter. But basically what they did is that they spent millions of dollars and were asking people, random people in supermarkets on the street, would you purchase this new Coke? And almost everybody told, yeah, I love it, I will definitely buy. Then they invested in the product, and 6 months later, after the launch, they just deleted this product from their assortment because the sales were almost zero. The sales were miserable. And that's exactly a great example of what you have just shared. Let's move forward.
I mean, it's hard to predict anything. And then failure is just a normal part of experimentation. There is no avoiding failure. And that's fine. That's fine. I fail fucking every month. The more I fail, the better entrepreneur I am, because I'm taking bets, taking risks. What you just want to optimize for is that these failures don't cost you too much. So you want to, you know, the whole saying of fail fast, and people make fun of that. I'm a huge believer in that. Like if you take, 12 months and $1 million to fail, no, I want to fail in 2 weeks, man. Like I want to fail really, really fast without spending too much time. So for instance, at Winter, the way we do it is that we don't build any new feature using developers at all, because developer hour is extremely expensive. So if you build this new feature and then in the end, nobody gives a shit, you wasted, a lot of money, and opportunity cost. You could have been building something else. So every new feature I'm shipping through a smoke test. There's a landing page with a buy button on it. Like, I'm testing, are you ready to pay for this? Or if it's not if it's a feature inside my app already, like it's not about more purchases, then I'm shipping it through no code, low code, and I'm simulating the product, what the product will do. Actually, we're doing it behind the scenes by hand. We'll say, hey, you can click here, and then in 24 hours you have a result. And then behind the scenes, we're like code monkeys. We're doing it by hand. And in the beginning, you don't have a lot of demand, so it's possible to do it by hand. And you only code to scale, right? Everything before you do by hand to validate. That's why you learn. That's how you can learn really, really fast and cheap.
I just wanted to go back to what you were talking about, validation and asking the right questions, etc. And I saw that there are kind of two levels to the whole story. There's the one level, which is like the basic stuff. Who are you targeting? Do they care about the problem that you're solving? Your differentiation. So basically the fundamental messages or, parts of your value proposition, positioning, etc. On the other hand, there is the actual text, the actual copy that you're validating. Yep. And so I wonder, if I'm starting, do I know that the problem is with the copy? Or is it with the fundamentals? Or how do I deal with that? What should I do at which stage?
I mean, it's a similar type of message testing like I described. You check for, clarity, value, differentiation, all these things. And the thing with copy is that it's not math. It's not that there's one clear equation. You can have the same exact outcome, using 27 different approaches. There are so many different ways to get there. So in that sense, it's kind of easier. However, how most messaging and copywriting is done at B2B SaaS companies. It's like everybody has a bunch of opinions. Sales says, oh, we want to use this messaging in marketing. People say this. And then CEO says, okay, well, if all we have is opinion, we go with mine. And that's CEO's messaging is on the homepage for most companies because they know best, right? And as a CEO myself, that's how I run my business too. Because if it's my business and we all have opinions, I'm responsible for the outcome. I'm gonna go with my messaging. However, I am ready to change my mind instantly if I have data that what I'm saying is unclear. Or people read everything and they still don't get it, or they still have questions. Okay, I'm instantly ready to change my mind. Internally, in product marketing teams, getting to a confident consensus is the holy grail. Because mostly it's a lot of different opinions and conflict. And often I've also seen like sales teams says, fuck, I'm not using that message in my demos, I'm saying this, like, because I know that converts, they have a commission to make. That's a really bad situation. It's toxic if that's where you get to. And so how do you get to confident consensus? Is data. You have data in marketing. We have data about every click, every scroll, every event in the browser DOM, right? Like we can track it, except how the words are working. Well, I mean, obviously, add winter is how you can figure it out. But yeah, so bring data to the table, and then you can see.
Love it. So before we'll move to the message review, we have 3 examples. So the folks who are attending the session shared 3 examples. So we'll definitely review it. Let's also review the questions we have in the chat. Alex, would you like to jump in? If yes, feel free to turn on your camera and ask your question. Okay, I'm not sure if you're connected to camera. So let me read it. If an agency, just a second, if as an agency, you decide to focus on a specific industry, for example, hotels, and offer just one main service, this will obviously mean that you are limiting your potential revenue, but of course you build a brand. How important would it be in this case to be lean as business? Or would you focus on growth in the beginning?
Would I focus on what?
On growth in the beginning.
Growth.
Crows?
Growth.
Growth.
Yeah.
Crows? Like the birds?
Growing, growth.
Growth.
Yeah.
Got it. Yes. Well, if you're starting out, I'm not sure what stage the business is in. One service, one customer, absolutely. Like you're laser focused. That's how you can, because I mean, agency space is extremely saturated, right? And they're very undifferentiated. And most agencies are exactly scared. Oh, maybe my market is too small, so I do everything. I do social media, and then I do SEO and PPC and CRO. You do all the fucking things, and nobody gives a shit about you, right? So absolutely, laser focused, one service, one industry. That was the best way, because then everybody in the same industry, everybody knows each other. It's the best way to get word of mouth, and which is the number one source for every agency money. It's word of mouth. You made one hotel happy, they will talk to another hotel, and on all your case studies, all your testimonials will be from the same industry. It's just a way easier way to build a business. Now, 5 years, 10 years into the future, you do want to diversify. Just before COVID hit, I had a good friend of mine running a CRO agency, and they doubled down on hospitality. And he was giving me shit for my agency, Spiro. I was like, hey, you guys do like experimentation for everybody. Look how I'm focused. And then obviously COVID came, hospitality went under, and his agency that was like 50, 60 people shut down, bankruptcy, because like no client had any money, right? So that is the danger of being mono-reliant on a single industry. But in the beginning, you absolutely want to be laser focused.
Love it, thank you. Also, Fran is asking, I would love to hook up on Alex's question. Recently, we expanded our platform with a bunch of new features and modules. We already have a stable revenue, which is coming from psychometric assessment. Should we create a completely new space website, for example, to advertise the new features so the client don't think we are widening too much?
It's probably hard for me to say without like really going in there and knowing more about the business. Well, I mean, I think messaging informs the product and product informs the messaging. So like if you already built all these features, like, well, why did you build them? Are you trying to capture a pre-existing demand? does the same user who uses your psychometric test, do they want the other user, other products features too, or is it a separate audience? So like, I think there are many considerations. In general, I do not recommend multiple like brands or websites because, you know, it's hard enough to build a single brand. It's very hard to get a decent domain ranking for a single domain name. If you have to do double SEO, double branding, it's just twice the work. So odds are that it's not worth it. And if you look at any enterprise software, you know, like if you go to the solutions tab and whoosh, this mega menu pops up, and that's not a problem. These guys are fucking raking it in by having 2,000 features and products and solutions and ICPs. That's fine.
Jim, please go ahead.
All right, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So one of the things that you mentioned earlier was about how certain industries are becoming more and more commoditized. And I'm seeing that I'm seeing that in our industry too. So we're in leadership coaching and development, and we've built our organization over 10 years being a premium provider, and we're seeing competitors come in and shift to a commodity model focused on, you know, the feel good stuff that they're selling to their customers. And our positioning has always been, we're a premium provider that ties in what we do to business outcomes and solving those where you can measure it through ROI. So when you see the industry go one way and we want to stay in that premium provider space, what are some of the things that we should be considering to maintain that positioning versus going the route of everybody else, you know, offering fluff and an app? How do we maintain where we are, or maybe look at some opportunities to expand where we are?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think largely these are two different groups of buyers, right? There's a type of buyer who always wants the best and is ready to pay for it, and then there's the group of people who will never be able to afford you, and that they'll go with the app. So I think in terms of like somebody who's like really cutting you by price and offering a more simplistic product, this is not real competition, you know, because like it doesn't overlap in terms of like who the buyer is. And obviously I'm generalizing here. I don't know the details of your specific niche. And so there's always room for upmarket. There's always somebody who is the fucking best will always make money. You know, this is also true for hotel chains. There's this great book. What's the hotel chain that is the super fancy hotels? Not Four Seasons, but
Marriott. I think Marriott.
No. Way more expensive.
Hyatt.
Way more expensive. Escapes me currently, right? But so even hotels, super saturated market, right? And they built a chain of hotels around the world that is more expensive than anything else, and just killing it because it's just the service is better. So if you're a luxury premium option, all of it needs to be super luxury premium, whatever it is, you know. So you need to look the part. Your messaging needs to feel the part. Your customer service needs to be like significantly better, you know, like white glove onboarding. You know, like what if currently your 5-star experience, like what would be a 7-star experience like, or an 11-star? Like you take it over the top, like you go all in with being premium. And obviously, if you had a name, you know, Tony Robbins is also personal development, right? And I'm not going to the Tony Robbins Inc. In fact, if it's one of his coaches, I feel cheated. So do you have a name? And if you don't have a name that people know, and you want to be around 10 years from now as well, well, you have 10 years to build a name, you know? So that's kind of how I would think about it.
Love it. So I'm sorry, Jim, you wanted to follow up? So I was just wanting to mention what you said. I think a lot of people kind of see differentiation or messaging is kind of like an add-on, like a lipstick or whatever. But what you said just now, I think that's very interesting for everybody to kind of go all in. It's not just about, you know, the messaging you put on a website. It's really like about your service, about the product, about everything, going after that to really be there with that differentiation, right?
Yeah, exactly. So differentiation is not cosmetical. It's not like, hey, my marketing team, come now, put some differentiation on my website. That's bullshit. That's never going to work. It's always like, what is our core DNA? What are we really about? And most companies who are currently undifferentiated, and this is probably 90% of people on this call, the way you go for it is like, you can't be different tomorrow. It's not like we're going to look at all the competitors and we're just going to say different things. That's not how it works. It's like you build a vision. You have like a session with your leadership team. Like you imagine what would be a completely actually differentiated version of us. And not just by, we say different things, but we're also objectively different. And that's often takes years of work to get there. So you build the vision. By 2025, we will get there. And now you build a roadmap, and that's your business strategy. It's like over time we evolve and become more different. Because like really, if you're trying to exit in 3 years from now, okay, it doesn't matter. Then just make the existing machine better. Lower CAC and increase conversion rates or whatever. But if you want to be around for a long ass time, you can play the long game. If we compare 2011 versus 2021, number of SaaS companies has increased more than 50 times in the last 10 years because tech is cheaper, talent is global, money is more plentifully available. Are we now thinking that this trend is stopping or slowing down? 2021, 2031, there will be 500 times more companies around, right? So all these moats that might, help you along the way. It's not too late to start building them. If you're not building moats today, it will be very difficult 5 years, 10 years from now, especially if you don't have, deep pockets.
Great. So we had a couple of people share their website for the message teardown part. I'm really excited about it. So is it okay if I just share my screen and you go at it, or you want to do it yourself?
Let's do it.
All right.
That's fine,
so
yeah.
This is the first one we got. Intro. Let me know how you want to read it.
Research on prospects directly in your calendar. Okay, so the main thing, the heuristics that we use is clarity, relevance, value, and differentiation. So what is unclear here, like, who am I? If I'm your ideal customer, how would I know that this is talking? Is this for SDRs? Is this for AEs? VAs? Like, who is this for? That I don't get. Okay, it looks like it's for SDRs. It's like my takeaway here. I'm not sure what the gift, So gift, the thing with gifts, and this is my opinion though, and is that human eye cannot not look at movement. If there's animation, we're gonna look at it. And so if you're gonna go that way, it needs to be absolutely fucking clear what is happening. I'm not sure what is happening here. Like, I'm looking at it, and instead, if this was a static screenshot, I would have scrolled down by now and trying to understand. Now, instead, I'm looking at this thing and I'm still not getting. But please scroll down. Okay. So here, stop research and prospect last minute. It sounds like this could be a thing that the target audience SDRs are resonating with. I don't know. I don't have this data. This is a question I was asked. Is this a real pain that they are experiencing? And the sentences are just too long. Look at the second sentence. Oh my God, it's like 3 lines long. You need to break it, like readability. If it's too long of a sentence, not gonna read it. And if I'm not reading it, my motivation to sign up for your shit is not going up. You want me to read, so you want to design this tab. I don't know what this tab thing is. Like, it adds no value to me, the tab thing. I mean, I recognize the logos. but like really, you should want me to read the copy instead. Yeah, okay, let's scroll down. Google gives you calendar. We give you sales lead research. Okay. Now, I am completely unfamiliar with this space, meaning that I've seen similar things that, like auto enrich from your like crystal and all these different things. So I'm not really sure what else is out there because I'm not an SDR. So what this tool is selling me here is, oh yeah, Google Calendar is also spelled in lowercase. So the thing about like typos and improper capitalization is that my experience with Winter is that if you have a fucking typo on your page, people cannot not comment on it, look at it, and it's going to draw so much unnecessary attention. Like me, just now, I should be focusing on your core messaging. Instead, I'm talking about the improper capitalization here because it sticks out and it hurts credibility in some level.
But can you do it on purpose then?
You technically could.
What do you mean, Stefan?
Make typos on purpose. For example, there is don't remember the name of the guy, but there's this guy who writes. He always writes with not. He doesn't capitalize the letters, and he's quite famous for that. So it's kind of like his style,
Well, if somebody's style on social media, that's all cool. I can send lowercase tweets all day long. It's different on a website. So because it just comes across as. So basically, I think the downside is bigger because it's probably somebody's turned off by this, and we can't really measure how big of a credibility hit it is. It's just good to just avoid it. Like why draw attention away from what really matters, which is what the point you want to drive home. Another thing I would add here is like, okay, the content. The blocks. So like we have the top, and then the second block, and the third block, and so on. Now, I don't know why these are in the order they are, and maybe this is perfect. I don't know, and what I would wonder about, like, is it? And so the way to test this is that when you do your customer research, you have your value statements. Okay, this. You want them to arrange them in the order. Like, what do you care the most about, and what's the second most important thing, and the third most important thing, and so on and so forth. And so you want to do this. Let's call it a cart sorting exercise with your target customers. And so what you lead with is the most important thing you want to say, and your second block is the thing that they care. Second most important thing, and so on. So it's the information hierarchy should never be random, but in a lot of SaaS companies, it's completely fucking random. It's like your designer made a template and now you're filling in the blanks. I'm not saying that that's what's happening here. This is just how I think about it. So I would be now wondering whether we're making it clear how this. If I'm your ideal customer, is it obvious to me how this is like nothing else? But if I'm your ideal customer, I'm like, oh, this is kind of like these other tools. Then what you should say, you should compare yourself with those other options and make it clear in which case, what do you do better, and in which case they should go with somebody else. Because people are doing comparison shopping anyway. It's 100%. In B2B tools, it's not impulse purchase. It's not like you see a hot Instagram model and you want to buy that t-shirt, like it's not, you're going to compare options. And so hence, knowing that, you want to compare yourself with the competition first. You control the narrative and you can then highlight, because you are an expert of your category, right?
Peep, hi, I'm the founder of this website. And
Stan, man. Hey, how's it going, dude?
I'm doing great. I'm making a ton of notes. I'm excited for you to check out later the page. However, we do have competition, right? So the question is, but not everyone knows about them. It's not a common place, right?
I know the fear, but like you should not be afraid.
Yeah, but I think more often people see us as a new thing rather than, oh, I think I know a company that already does it. Then how should I approach it on the side?
If those competitors are also like new like you,
yeah,
then that's fine, right? Like you definitely want to do the comparison if you're directly competing with a household name. You're against HubSpot, right?
Yeah,
or
makes sense.
Clearbit, or one of these guys. Then you absolutely want to compare, because otherwise it's always safe to go with a name, which is why in every mature category leaders get the most business, because it's the safe choice, right? So if your competitors are also young upstarts with not much awareness, then sure, it's fine to skip it, I think.
Sorry, just to go on, because we have two more and really like
Sure, yeah, let's move on. Oof. Movement and animation, kill me now. So this is the worst idea for any website, is to have this type of movement and animation. I said, like, we cannot help but react to movement. This one, of course, is like Stan's gift was actually useful. This is completely purposeless movement. This is like giving me Caesars and request a demo with an exclamation mark. Okay, guys, you only have 5 exclamation marks to use in your whole life. Use them sparingly. Just because you put an exclamation mark at the end of something doesn't make it more attractive. It makes you look desperate and weak. Don't do it. Okay, let's look at the messaging itself. Talent platform for psychologists in HRM. I don't know what HRM is, but I guess psychologists would know. Get the bigger picture and predict job behavior with psychometric data. Well, I don't know. Well, the bigger picture is vague. You can definitely be more specific. Predict job behavior. Do you mean workplace success, or meaning that how likely they are to slack off and be toxic? Either way could be like, but like, let's be very clear about what we mean. Also, like random capitalization. Why is psychometric capitalized? Again, it's a needless thing that draws unnecessary attention. Why go there? Automatically assess all candidates and employees. Great. Let the candidates book an online interview. Okay, so the thing about the rule of bullet points is that they all need to be the same. Like start with a verb. Conduct. I guess let this is not really a verb. Book, enable candidate booking or whatever. And assess would be the verb to start. Assess all candidates automatically, something like this. So like right now it's completely random here. It's hard to it's easier for the brain to process this if they're worded in the same way. And now it says simple applicant tracking system. Okay, this is now confusing. I thought this is psychometric evaluation, but now it says it's an applicant tracking system. Ooh, cannot be both. You need to choose. And request a demo, exclamation mark we said. So okay, scroll down. Make your employees, exclamation marks. Yeah, usually it's like once you see one, that it's going to be many more to come. It's a telltale sign of a weak copywriter. So here we go. It's like lots of exclamation mark. It's like screaming for desperation. Okay, make your employment process even faster. This makes me think this was not written by a native English speaker. No native English speaker would say things like this. Another thing about your copy is like you have your Croatian copywriter write this. Do not trust your Croatian copywriter. I mean, they can write a draft, but you need an American, a British, an Australian to reword it so it will be how people actually speak. All right. So let's talk about subheads. Location not important. Testing time is not important. Why are you this is the complete waste of space. Really, how people read. People don't read everything word by word unless they're paid to do so. So they scan, right? They scan. And most people only read subheads and not the body copy. So the way you design your page is that they only read the subheads and they get the full story. They don't need anything. So make your employment process even faster is okay. I get the benefit statement, but even faster is very vague. So I say, quantify it, add specificity. Now there's the globe, the clock, and the whatever icon there. Say the value statement. It needs to be something that I want, that is aligned with my priorities, that is addressing a challenge that I have. So I can, if I'm your ideal customer, I can say, oh yes, I want it. Yes, that's my problem. Right now, you're forcing me to read this tiny 11 pixel copy. I'm not going to do it. I'm already bored. The interface for managing candidates is simple and transparent. Says who? So if you want to make a case that is simple to use, this is like classic, like Robert Cialdini stuff. If you say, I am trustworthy, believe me, they will not trust you. But somebody else say, hey, this guy is trustworthy, you'll have credibility. So if you want to make certain claims that it's easy to use, put a fucking testimonial on it. Make somebody else say that. You saying that you can trust me, I'm not going to steal your wallet, man. It's not going to work. Let's scroll down. Exclamation marks. My God. So you definitely need a different copywriter. It's 100% guaranteed. Whoever you have is not good. Publish, test, assess. It's also like death, wall of text, murder through wall of text. And stock photos. Come on, keyboards, hands, and cacti. No, like massive credibility killers. Do not use stock photography. Oh my God, these exclamation marks are killing me. All right, we have 2 minutes. Last one. Okay, Anu Merton, handmade Indian jewelry. Okay, well, by describing what you do like this, you're instantly positioning yourself as a commodity. You're a commodity, and I'm not interested, or at least I'm not ready to pay more than $3. All right, and also in certain products like jewelry, it could be that a video background can serve a purpose, but again, I would strongly advise. I would default to static imagery over video. That's not to say that there isn't a time and place where it can work, but it's like odds are strong that it's not going to work. Also, there's no messaging here whatsoever, right? Except that we're a commodity product. Okay, you are AliExpress. Okay, let's scroll down. Okay, this is e-commerce. Okay, so with e-commerce is hard, right? So like, is this designer jewelry by Anu, and she's this famous or up and coming whatever? Like, if that's the case, you'll wanna make it all about that, because right now it's very commodity approach here. Like this is a random Amazon, AliExpress, Shopify type of site. I mean, yes, I understand that this is your navigation here, but the value proposition, like why buy this? Ooh, I don't know. Like, oh yeah, I understand that the product is a lot about. So these visuals matter here a lot. However, I also want the story. What is the story? Handmade Indian jewelry is like dime a dozen.
I believe that's enough. I believe that's a fantastic review. I completely agree with you. It was really nice to put something completely different from B2B just at the end to review, because the example is really the same. If you want to make, in this case, when it comes to jewelry, if you want to put it as something unique, something special, then put the personal brand, talk about this person, and also talk about the emotions of the buyers. Give them the emotions, why they should buy this jewelry, how they would look like after purchasing it. So that's the key. People buy emotions, they don't buy commodity.
Totally. Like, who am I? Like, okay, like somebody might be attracted to the type of design you have, but also like you want to like in this type of category, like the brand of who am I when I buy you is very important, and so you want to be very explicit about what you're signaling.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, how did you like the session? Please quickly type in a Zoom chat. I would love to hear your opinion. And Pep, thanks a lot for all the brilliant insights and also reviewing the
man. Guys, if you liked anything I said, follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, and I'll see you around.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. I'm not just sorry that we didn't get you to review our website, but we wanted to. Yeah.
Do more public trashing anytime. All righty. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.